Kong has never slept safely in the Hollow Earth. Not once. Not in 10 years. Because the birthplace of every Titan on this planet is a killing floor. A place where the Alpha of Skull Island gets ambushed within minutes of arriving. Serpents that hunt him in coordinated pairs. Packs intelligent enough to run a king into the ground. A tyrant who turned an ice age into a leash. And the deadliest predator down there is not a reptile, not a flyer, and not the biggest thing beneath the crust. It is something far more personal. This is every confirmed predator in the Hollow Earth, what makes each one lethal, and why Kong's greatest enemy was never Godzilla. Here is what most people get wrong about the Titans. They think the Age of Monsters was a golden age, a world ruled by giants. It was not. It was a slaughterhouse. For millions of years, the surface belonged to Titans who fed on the radiation pouring out of the planet. Whole species rose, worshipped as gods by the first human tribes, and whole species were wiped out. When the radiation faded and the Ice Age came, the survivors retreated into the Hollow Earth, a hidden world beneath our own, powered by the core the way the sun powers the surface. Everything that died on the way down left bones. And those bones are not set dressing. Every skeleton in this universe is a record of how a god died, and most of them died screaming. 5 confirmed sets of remains, 5 extinction stories, and Monarch, the secret organization built to study Titans, has spent decades burying every single one. Because a graveyard this size asks a question no government wants spoken out loud. If this many gods are already dead, what is the Warbat? Most people think an Alpha Titan enters the Hollow Earth at the top of the food chain. Kong did not. In Godzilla vs. Kong, he passes through the gravity inversion. And within minutes, a Warbat strikes the largest living great ape on Earth like an item on a menu. Not a scavenger testing its luck, a dedicated Titan killer. The design is nightmare engineering, a serpent the length of a skyscraper, with wing membranes that flare like a cobra's hood to double its silhouette. It flies, it glides, and then it does the part that matters. It constricts. It wrapped its coils around Kong's throat and began squeezing the life out of an Alpha in open combat, while a second Warbat swatted a Monarch Hev, the most advanced vehicle humanity has ever built, out of the air like an insect. Kong pulled his ancestor's axe from stone, carved the first Warbat apart, cracked its skull open, and ate its brain while the humans watched. That was not rage. That was protocol. In the Hollow Earth, a kill gets eaten immediately, or something bigger claims it. The Hellhawk. One Hellhawk is nothing to Kong. He swats them. That is exactly the point. They were never hunting Kong. When Maya Simmons tried to strip the energy source from Kong's ancestral throne room and her mercenaries drew weapons, the noise pulled a flock of Hellhawks down onto the extraction team. Leathery, jagged, pterosaur-built flyers that do not fight fair and do not fight alone. While Kong shielded Eileen, Gia, and Nathan Lin during the escape, the swarm demonstrated why Monarch's field manual classifies human beings in the Hollow Earth as a food source. Vehicles, armor, weapons, irrelevant. The swarm finds the gap. The impact outlasted the scene. Every Monarch flight plan after 2024, including the entire mission in the New Empire, treats the Hollow Earth sky as hostile territory by default. That doctrine was written in the blood of the first expedition. Here is the part the films never said out loud. In the canon graphic novel Godzilla, Aftershock, that ancestor has a name, Dagon. And Dagon was not killed by the 2 small Mutos from San Francisco. He was killed by their mother, a colossal, ancient super parasite called Muto Prime, the queen of the entire species, who breeds by hollowing out titans the size of Godzilla and using their corpses as incubators. That is the cover-up. The public was shown 2 Mutos and told the threat was the Wart Dog. The New Empire opens with the killer of the Skull Devil running for his life. A pack of Wart Dogs, reptilian pursuit predators built like armored hounds, chases Kong across the Hollow Earth at a full sprint. Each one is a fraction of his size. Their strategy is the oldest in nature: numbers, endurance, and the willingness to bleed for a kill. A pack does not need to overpower a Titan. It needs to exhaust one. Except the hunt was a lie. Kong was not fleeing. He was baiting. He led the entire pack at full speed into a concealed ravine trap, let the terrain do the killing, and walked away with the last warthog slung over his shoulder as lunch. One sequence rewrote the ceiling on Great Ape intelligence. Kong does not just fight the Hollow Earth's predators. He outthinks them, and he weaponizes the ground they stand on. The tragedy sits underneath the dominance. He set that trap alone. He ate that meal alone. The most powerful ape alive has no one to hunt with. The Drowned Viper. Later in the New Empire, Kong stops at a watering hole, one of the only calm moments the Hollow Earth ever grants him. And a Drowned Viper detonates out of the depths and coils around his body. It is the Warbat's aquatic mirror, a massive serpentine constrictor that waits beneath the surface for something large enough to be worth drowning. Its targeting logic is the disturbing part. It does not recognize hierarchy. It does not care that this is the Titan who split the Skull Devil's jaw. Mass in the water equals prey. Kong tore it in half. The lesson: survive the snake. Every predator on this list attacks a different moment of weakness. Warbats hit arrivals, Hellhawks hit groups, Warthogs hit the exhausted, and the Drowned Viper hits the single instant a Titan lowers his guard. The Hollow Earth is not just dangerous. It is sequenced like a gauntlet, and there is no safe activity inside it. Not drinking, not resting, not standing still. Another buried file. In the canon graphic novel Godzilla-X Kong: The Hunted, set 1 week before the New Empire, a Skull Island trophy hunter named Raymond Martin smuggled a private mech called the Titan Hunter into the Hollow Earth and slaughtered wildlife for sport, including adults of a brand new species Monarch designated the Spine Prowler. Kong found him standing over 2 orphaned Spine Prowler cubs. He crushed the mech, stepped aside, and let the cubs eat Raymond Martin alive. That is canon. The Hollow Earth does not just punish trespassers. Kong personally delegates the sentence. The Verticine. Most people think a predator has to attack to earn the title. The Verticines never do, and everything avoids them anyway. The New Empire introduced them. Enormous, bioluminescent, ray-like flyers drifting through the Hollow Earth sky, wrapped in their own bioelectric charge. That field is so lethal that the rest of the food chain gives the flock a wide berth. Consider the audacity. In an airspace that contains Warbats and Hellhawks, the Verticines fly slow, glowing, and completely unbothered, because touching one is suicide. Trapper understood it instantly and pulled one of the smartest moves in franchise history. He flew Monarch's Hev inside the flock using living, lethal animals as camouflage. And the Verticines leave behind the franchise's most quietly terrifying question. A deterrent that Extreme evolved against something. Monarch's xenobiologists have never publicly answered what was hunting the Verticines before they became untouchable. The Verticines bought their peace with voltage. The next predator never wanted peace. It wanted extinction. The Skullcrawler, the 2-limbed, serpent-bodied horrors of Kong. Skull Island are not native to the surface. They boiled up out of Hollow Earth vents beneath the island. And they are the reason Kong is the last of his kind above ground. A Skullcrawler is hunger wearing a skull, hyper-metabolic, never full, never finished. The war between their species and the great apes exterminated Kong's entire surface population. Kong was born during his parents' final battle against them, and he watched his mother and father die as his first memory. The largest of them, the Skull Devil, spent decades under the island waiting for the day the last apes lived. This is the species that turned the Hollow Earth from a setting into a villain. The Skullcrawlers were humanity's first proof that something lives underneath us. Bill Randa's crusade, Monarch's expansion, the 2024 expedition, all of it traces back to these things crawling out of the ground in 1973 and announcing that the planet has a basement, and the basement is hungry. The Skullcrawlers took Kong's family. The next file explains what took his home. In the canon graphic novel Kingdom Kong, Ghidorah's Alpha Call in 2019 pulled a colossal bat titan named Camazotz up from the Hollow Earth to attack Skull Island directly. Kong beat him into retreat, and the price was apocalyptic. The island's perpetual storm system collapsed inward, swallowed Skull Island permanently, and turned Kong's kingdom into a dying husk. That storm is the entire reason Kong lived inside a Monarch containment dome at the start of Godzilla vs. Kong. The films never explain it. The comic does. Kong did not leave his home. A Hollow Earth predator took it from him. The Scar King. The deadliest predator in the Hollow Earth is a great ape, and his cruelty is the only cruelty on this list that is a choice. Every other predator here kills to eat. The Scar King enslaved his own kind, forged them into an army, and waged a war of conquest so catastrophic that the Iwi still remember Godzilla's species by name. Zozla Halawa, the bad lizard who swallowed a star, from the era when Titans fought Titans over the fate of two worlds. In that ancient war, the Scar King nearly destroyed Godzilla himself. Read that again. The Titan who killed Ghidorah was almost erased from history by a wiry, whip-fast tyrant commanding an army of slaves. His weapon is the most disturbing artifact in the franchise, the Whip Slash, tipped with a crystal that inflicts pain on the Ice Titan Shimo, converting a creature older and more powerful than himself into a living, screaming weapon. He does not rule through strength. He rules through torture. And when Godzilla's kind finally beat him, they did not kill him. They sealed him in a subrealm beneath the Hollow Earth, a prison below the prison. The Scar King ruled through pain. His weapon felt every second of it. Shimo, her ice caused Earth's last ice age. One Titan, a planetary extinction event with a heartbeat. Shimo is the ceiling of this entire list. A frost-breathing colossus whose glaciation froze the world once already, and whose breath gave Kong frostbite severe enough that Monarch had to fit him with the BEAST glove just to keep his arm functional. Under the Scar King's crystal, she was aimed at the surface like artillery, and the plan was simple. Bury the modern world under a second ice age. Then Zuko shattered the control crystal. Shimo froze her tormentor solid. Kong shattered the Scar King into pieces, and Shimo stayed. The single most destructive predator the Hollow Earth ever produced now follows the ape who freed her. That is not a happy ending. That is a new balance of power beneath the surface. A king, an heir, and a walking ice age standing guard. The confirmed roster ends there. The classified one does not. The declassified anthology carries a file on a Titan called Abaddon, and Monarch has said almost nothing about it since. Monarch. Legacy of Monsters proved the map itself is incomplete. The Axis Mundi, a realm between the surface and the Hollow Earth where time bends, crossed by organisms nobody has finished counting. 8 confirmed predators. The classified files run longer than the public ones. And the subrealm prison that held the Scar King for thousands of years is currently sitting open. The next lore file covers the Titan that is coming and the war it starts. Subscribing is the only way to be there when it opens. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and be first into the file. Because whatever Monarch finds next, the surface hears about it last.